Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. Today, we have a special guest with us. Chris Goforth is going to join us in just a few seconds. I want to give a shout out to Logan Landers, who's behind the glass. He's our producer and engineer, and obviously to Vincent Turner, our co-founder and host. Vincent, we get somebody who actually wants to come back. It's not too often that they're a guest on 100 Yards of Football, and eventually they go through that torture and they want to do it again. What's going on with Chris today, Vincent? What did we do right?
I guess I can say this in so many words. We got this smoke over here that's real hot right now on the football rising, and we're very blessed today to have the most talented man on radio in the city of Atlanta. And he's from the state of Tennessee. I don't have to say no more. Mike has dropped. Back to you, Harp.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what, if you got anything to do with Tennessee, you're already 2 thumbs up. Siskel and Ebert will both do that. Well, Chris Goforth, if you do not know, he is the voice of the Falcons on the network for their pregame, halftime, postgame show. He's been doing that for half a decade at least. He is also on 92.9 The Game as a host of several shows that take place mostly on the weekend. He fills in all the time. And also with ESPN and ESPN Plus with Chattanooga football, the mocks, obviously basketball as well. Chris, is baseball a part of the repertoire as well? Do you do mock baseball?
No, but softball is.
Okay. Is there anything that you're not doing right now? Aside from playing a 6-string guitar that has a V in it, and kind of slashing up along the path of your music talents.
This is look, we kind of got basketball wrapped up, so I'll get an NIT game or a WNIT or something like that, and outside of that, I am looking forward to at least that part of my life, getting a chance to slow down and calm down for a little bit, and then once we
Chris,
start
here's
to
a
hit
Telecaster. Do you know anyone that might want to play that?
Oh wow, I didn't know we were going that route with this. Let's see. Hang on.
Like I said,
I can't always be outdone, Harper. Hang on.
I know you're gonna outdo me, aren't you? What have you got? Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Does she have a name?
Well, no, not really. It's an Eddie Van Halen model.
Yes.
And these are my favorite. I have about 5 of these. This is the latest one. Yeah, I've pretty much convinced myself that I'm not going to buy any more.
Really? How's that going for you?
Well, I just come to the conclusion right now. So let's
good for you.
Let's give it a little while.
Yeah.
But no, like I said, man, I got like 5 of these, and I love them. I just, nobody pays me to play them or pays me to say it, but it is the most comfortable guitar to play. Okay. So for me,
yes.
So that's where, so this one is this is the most recent one that I have
while you're showing me that purple in the black is absolutely stunning. Would you go with a rosewood neck in your neck? Or do you have the T-shirt that says you can never have too many guitars? That you've got a couple of those, I think, right?
Yeah, probably. And no, it's always maple.
Okay.
It's always maple. And I've had people tell me, oh, don't tell me you can hear the difference in them. I'm not going to tell you I can hear the difference. I do think maple is a little bit brighter sounding to me personally. I just think it's more comfortable. And that's what I want. I want something that's more, I just want comfortable at this point. And that's what those are. Those are comfortable.
Don't give me any more problems. I have enough of those in the real world. I want the action to be just right.
Yeah.
I'll change the strings when I need to, but just everything else, just make it easy for me. Right.
You got it. Yeah, you got it. That's So I guess for a lot of people, like, sports is kind of your hobby, right? You watch sports, you listen to it, you read about it and whatnot and whatever. And I think, Vince, I think you'll understand this. And my gosh, Harper, you lived it for so long. At some point in time, it becomes a job. So what do you do then to, to be able to get away from it? Because I don't, I don't, and I know people have this idea that, like I have people tell me all the time, because they know what all I do. They're like, oh gosh, I bet all you do is watch games. And I'm like, no, actually, I don't probably don't watch as much as what a lot of people think I do, but I just want to, how do you unplug and get away from it? And that has been my way of unplugging from whatever since 1989.
Yeah. Well, Jim McMahon said I never worked a day in my life, so I don't think I'm quite in Jim's world, but pretty doggone close. It is fun. Yeah. There's a certain magic that you get, but when you get paid to talk about it and become a pro, a completely different vibe. It's easy at times to play guitar, but it's not easy to break down the salary cap and what NFL teams are doing, is it?
Especially when you're bad at math. And math has never been my strong suit, so that's where I gotta have somebody like yourself that went to Colorado State and probably took all those math courses there. I mean, Vince and I, we're just a couple of Tennessee public school educated guys. I mean, we can't get into all this this hieroglyphic stuff that you're that you probably studied there. So the salary cap is such a listen, when you have to have someone on your staff as a general manager and their job is the salary cap, that tells you all it tells you all you need to know about the salary cap. When you got to pay a dude to sit there and tell you where you are and what the cap implications are, tells you all you need to know about the salary cap.
Yeah, it's the job that nobody wants to do. Even the guy that's doing the job, he eventually goes, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. This is just too much. I need help. And then he'll hire someone, and then that guy will end up doing all the work. And now, Chris, interestingly enough, it's trickled down into the college world. And that's sooner than I ever thought. Now you got $22 million that each school has to pay out all their. Good luck calculating that. What a mess the NCAA has allowed this to turn into, at least in my opinion.
Well, yeah, no, look, when you've got, what's the thing now that everybody's doing is all of these colleges now have a general manager in place, and their job is to essentially manage the cap or manage that NIL money, if you will. It's not a salary cap in college, obviously, but
understood. Yeah,
to be able to manage that name, image, and likeness money and where it's going and how much it's being spent. And I don't know, man, we're at a real precarious, and I know we've talked about it before, and maybe we get into it again here one day, but we're at a really just strange time in sports. I had a college coach tell me this season that I don't know how much longer I want to do this.
Yep.
And it's not because of the game. Like I think the X's and O part, they love the game. Still, the problem has become now you've got a guy coming into your office going, hey, coach, I need 30 grand or I'm gone. Or I need, 100 grand or I'm gone, depending on what level you were at. College basketball for a long time has been very transient in nature. I think we all kind of got used to the transfers in college basketball, felt like it had become accepted, over these last 10, 15 years. Now in college football, it's the wild, wild west. And I'll tell you what's about to happen here in the state of Tennessee, Vince. They're going to pass a one-time transfer rule, the Tennessee Secondary Schools Athletic Association, where you will be able to transfer at the high school level. You can transfer wherever you want one time without having to sit out. So it is starting to trickle its way down from the college game, and we're going to see it at the NFL. I mean, at the high school level now too. So it's a different world a much different world, even than where we were just, what, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago? Much different.
If you don't mind, we'll put that on hold for just a second, because I agree with you completely in how quickly the high school kids are counting the visions of sugar plums in their head. Instead of it being Christmas, it is after this season is over, there's a payday. But I would like to begin our Falcon conversation. Oddly enough, about a year ago to the day, today's the first day that NFL teams can actually sign. They were able to negotiate 2 days ago. But Chris, wink, wink, nod, nod, you know that there was some negotiations that were taking place long before that, to where we were finding out on Monday that there were deals being put in place and high dollar amounts. You can't do that in just a few hours. That, to me, is my opinion of some folks maybe starting a little bit before the gun goes off. But regardless of that, the Atlanta Falcons a year ago at this time, on this day, not 365, but the first day of signing, Kirk Cousins, quarterback problem resolved. Everything is going to be fine from here on out. We can focus on all the other issues that we have. And a year later, where are we, Chris?
Well, we got a different quarterback.
No
and look, everybody, the whole thing with Kirk Cousins is maybe the most polarizing thing, short of Trey Young. It may be the most polarizing aspect of Atlanta sports. Harper, I am of the opinion I am not going to criticize the Atlanta Falcons for doing what they did, because I still go back and look at this, as you mentioned, 365 days ago, whatever it was. We thought at that time, this team's a quarterback away from being a playoff team. Yep. And you're going to go out for a franchise that has not made the big free agent splash in a long time, and you're going to go out and get the quarterback, the best quarterback that was available in free agency at that point in time. And that's what the Falcons did. I am not going to ever say they made a mistake for doing that. Did it work out like I thought it would? No, it did not. I don't know. I wasn't in that locker room on a daily basis, so I can't tell you what was going on, who knew he was hurt, or whatever that situation was. I think that's been an unfortunate mess that has come out since all of this happened. But again, I am not going to point a finger at Terry Fontenot and say, man, you screwed this up. Now, did it put the Falcons behind a little bit? Probably. I mean, did it move the timetable from being a playoff team now, being a division winner now, and maybe being a Super Bowl winner in 2 years, or a Super Bowl contender in 2 years? I think it probably pushed that calendar, that timeline has probably been pushed out a little bit. This franchise is in a situation now where I don't want to say it's a start over, but man, there's a lot of change. I mean, look, we've seen Grady Jarrett get released, and so there's going to be a lot of changes that are going to happen for the Falcons here before they suited up for that first preseason game in August. And I think we're probably going to see more of it over the next, the next year or two, depending on what the progress of Michael Penix is, which, I still don't think we know anything and, really about him until we get into October or November and we get a couple of games under our belt.
The way I viewed it, Chris, is they with the draft pick of Michael as well, they knew that the biggest hole that they had in their lineup was at the quarterback position. We resolved it. We got the best guy available, as you said, right? They solved that problem. Now let's fix our eyes on some of the other holes that are in the dam, and we'll do that one at a time.
Yeah. So, and let me back up for something here just a second, Harper. The one thing that I would point out about those two teams that played in a Super Bowl this year, Philadelphia Eagles had Carson Wentz. Remember, they gave Carson Wentz a big old fat contract. And they thought that Carson Wentz was going to be the guy, or at least the Philly fans thought Wentz was going to be the guy. And then what happens? They turn around and draft Jalen Hurts. realize Hurts is the guy, and they ship Carson Wentz out of town. And Jalen Hurts has been the guy, got him back to another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Same thing in Kansas City was Alex Smith, right?
Yeah.
Chiefs had Alex Smith. Alex Smith had a good year. There were people in Kansas City when they drafted Patrick Mahomes thinking, what in the Sam Hill are we got our guy. Why are we going after this guy? They went out, they got Patrick Mahomes. It worked. The point is, you can never stop investing in quarterbacks. It's the most valuable position in football now. You have to have one. I think you have to have an elite one. And you cannot stop investing in quarterbacks. The Eagles didn't stop investing until they made sure they had the guy. Kansas City didn't stop investing until they made sure they had the guy. And that's where the Falcons need to be. You got to keep investing in that position until you make sure you've got the guy.
Yep. And then you investing in that guy, in my opinion, Chris, means also investing in the guys that protect the guy, right? At your tackle, guard, center positions. And then also being able to get the guy on the other team that's the guy. And you got to get a couple of guys to do that. So the three most important people on the field are the quarterback, your left or right tackle, and your edge rushers. Is there some agreement with that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's all about protecting the quarterback and affecting the quarterback. You got to have that tackle. In the case of Michael Penix, it's the right tackle because he's a left-handed quarterback. You got to protect his blind side. And then the other part is you got to affect the quarterback, and how you do that is by getting pressure.
Yep. And then obviously draft picks and free agents and all that. Falcons, the number that I have right now, Chris, they had a total of $280 billion to work with. They are at $5.477 million right now. They only have $7.5 million in dead cap money. $3.5 million of that is from Grady Jarrett, with him being released just a couple of days ago. But you can't do a whole heck of a lot with $5 million.
No. And look, that's where, we talk about, you point the finger at Terry Fontenot for going out and getting Kirk Cousins last year. Falcons just went through salary cap hell, right? I mean, that was 3 long years of constant hands being tied because of the cap situation. Now you finally come out of that. Now you're in this situation again where you have got an issue with the cap once more. And to compound things even more for the Falcons, number one, you don't have a lot of money to spend in free agency under the cap. You're limited with your draft picks. Falcons don't have a lot of draft picks this year.
They've only got 5. Yeah.
So, guys, it is imperative they get this draft right. We saw a rookie class last year that, and I think finally, as the year went on, like we started to see some stuff from Roro and some of those guys. But for the most part, Michael Penix, obviously, but for the most part, that was a rookie class that was able to come in and sit a year ago and learn. I don't think this class that the Falcons are going to draft here in 2025, they don't have that opportunity. You are not going to be able to draft a project if you're the Falcons. You've got to go get guys that can come in right now and play at whatever position that is, wherever you deem a need. And I understand Terry Fontenot. Well, I'll be honest, I don't understand. I kind of understand it, but, his whole thing about getting the best available player. I don't think the Falcons can do. I don't think you can go into this draft and say, we're going to take the best available player. I think you've got a draft need now for the Falcons. You have to.
What's your top need?
It is still going to be edge rusher. Even with them signing Leonard Floyd, I still think you've got a need at edge rusher. I think without Grady, you have a need on your interior defensive line. I think you've got a need in the secondary. And I think you have to look at, even if it's a depth piece, but I think you got to look at a piece or two on the offensive line as well. I mean, Jake Matthews, they just redid his deal and moved some money around to help with some cap space. Jake Matthews getting a little long in the tooth. And I think at some point in time, you got to have an heir apparent in place to be able to slide in and take his place. So to me, O-line, interior D-line, edge, and in that secondary, Falcons are bringing back Mike Ford. He's a depth piece, right? I mean, good special teams guy. Yeah. He'll contribute some, but he's not a guy that you're going to expect to play. He's not going to be a guy that's going to give you 50 snaps a game.
Agreed. They re-signed D. Alford too. That was a nice move there on their part. I'm not disagreeing with you, Chris. Don't get the idea that I am. But when you lose Dahlman, and now you got Ryan Newsel, is Ryan the heir apparent, or do I got to go get a center too? And if you're going to get a Jake Matthews replacement, that's a number 1 or a number 2, right? I think we got lucky with Bergeron a couple years ago, being able to let him start right away. But at left tackle, well, even a right tackle need, depending on whether it's a left-handed or right-handed quarterback, that's a number 1 or a number 2. I don't know how, and we've only got one of those, and then we don't pick again until the 4th round. So it's very interesting where you go with this. Best edge rusher or the best cornerback that's out there. I think either one of those, in my opinion, could be a first-round snag at 15, or you trade back 5, 7, 8 slots and get yourself another second or a third rounder in there. That might be a possibility too.
And this is the first, Falcons have had these top 10 picks, and we've all debated about, well, what do you do? Do you pick? Do you trade back or whatever? This may be the year, because of the limited number of picks and all of the needs that the Falcons have. This may be the year where the Falcons look to make that move and make a deal and try to move back a little bit in the first round. I don't know. I think there's some guys that are going to be there when the Falcons go to pick. I think there's going to be some guys there. Jalen Walker out of Georgia is a guy. As Vince knows, I'm a big fan of James Pierce out of Tennessee.
He hurt his shoulder just a couple days ago, Chris.
Really?
He may not even be at his pro day in April.
Wow. Well, then maybe he's a guy maybe that'll cause him to slide a little bit. Maybe he's a guy you can get later on. Walter Nolan is another Tennessee kid from Knoxville that elected not to go to Tennessee, started at Texas A&M and then ended up at Ole Miss. He's another guy, kind of a bullish defensive tackle on the inside that, I think there's going to be some guys there that will be able to help the Falcons. You're not going to get, the guy Carter, the kid from Penn State. He's not going to make it that long. Right. But I think there's going to be some guys there that can come in and have an impact. And I'm with you, Harper. However you want to slice this thing, if you want to go edge rusher in the first round or you want to go corner in the first round, I don't think it matters. I just think you got to get one of those. You got to fill the need for one of those two positions. And again, I think it's imperative that you hit on these picks.
Yeah, the ability to have somebody that can be on the field game one, maybe not the starter, but at least a guy that you can plug in. For example, if you get a guy in the secondary, a cornerback, he better be ready to go in nickel or dime coverages on day one. You know what I mean? Yeah. That to me is confirming your assessment of you better pick right. You got to have somebody who's able to be in your lineup on day one with your first and your second pick that you have. You don't pick again until the fourth. That's a weird thing that the Falcons only have a total of 5. They got 2 7th rounders. So the 5th and 6th rounder, you could steal a couple players, but not this year. They just don't have the numbers. They can't do it. So completely adamant. Would you have a hesitation if we take at 15, if we get the second best cornerback that's on the parking lot? I wouldn't have a problem with the second or third, but I don't want to take the 7th best edge rusher if it's an edge centric draft up to our first pick.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, I think that is, what your needs are. Now, which one of those guys, gives the best opportunity to get on the field right away. I know the Falcons have had a lot of interest in, it seems like, in Terry Amos, who is the corner out of Ole Miss. Malachi Starks is the safety at Georgia that the Falcons had some conversations with. I think D-Led wrote about that at the NFL Scouting Combine. So I think the Falcons have got a couple of guys. You can't afford to go 5-6 deep. If there is a run on edge rushers and those guys are gone, then I think you got to shift your focus to the secondary and try to get the best corner or the second best corner, however you have them graded. I used to get all up into this business and try to figure out, who's going where and who's going to take what. And I quit that. It's, I can usually be pretty good most of the time with who's going to go in the first round. But in terms of who's going to land where, because that's, again, I think every team has their own philosophy going into this. Fontenot's thing has been, we're going to take best available. I think some teams best off, draft off of need. So, how things are going to shake out is always a little different, from year to year and team to team. So I don't get too caught up in all of that mess. I just want to see what it looks like. I love the draft though, but I want to see what it looks like when it's all said and done. And let's see what this two deep looks like.
So I think it's fair to say that you and I, and even Vincent, Logan, and everybody else, let Mel Kiper figure all that out, and Todd McShay, let them worry about who goes where. Because I'll give you the example. This is just a couple years ago. Quarterback, right? And the Falcons picked number 4, and Kyle Pitts is standing all by him. The number 1 player on the board is still there for you. And everyone was going, no. We might have been on the air together with, no, Justin Fields, Falcons need to get him. Why would I want the 4th best quarterback with with my pick and everyone else on the board? I could get the number 1 at any position. I don't understand that philosophy. So I got my number 1 need, and I got the guy that I want that's available right there. Make the pick. Let's go up to the podium.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's where I am with this. This is the year Falcons have got to address needs. I don't think you can afford to go best player available. I don't think right now that, you really have a massive need offensively. I feel pretty good about where that offense is, even the offensive line. Now you brought up a good point a minute ago about Drew Dahlman going away, and, is Ryan Newsel the answer at center, or what happens there? How comfortable are you guys with Ryan Newsel going up against Vita Vea? Because that's what, again, that's going to be twice a year. So that's what you have to ask yourself. Do you feel like our guy can contain their guy twice a year? Because Vea's as good as anybody you're going to see.
Yeah, Chris, and I'm also going to throw another thing out there. Now, Ryan, I'm not disrespecting him at all, but I'm saying the best, in my opinion. And there's questions about how is it 1A or 1B, but the greatest single free agent signing the Falcons ever had was Alex Mack. And part of the reason was just his body, right? He wasn't going to let Vita Vea beat him anywhere, but he knew what everybody else was supposed to do. In his savvy play calling and pointing out where the blitz was going to come, he made every one of those other 4 guys on that line better. And look at the results of what happened on that year. Matt Ryan is the MVP of the league, and we're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, I think Alex Mack is the most significant free agent signing the Falcons have ever had. I mean, he brought stability to that offensive line. He also brought a little bit of toughness to that offensive line too. And my favorite Falcon offensive line, my favorite that didn't involve Jeff Van Note and Mike Ken would have to be, back in the mid-aughts, 05, 06, 07, when it was, I think I'm right about the time frame, but it was Tyson Clabo and Harvey Dahl. And, those guys, they just wanted to fight.
Mud dogs. Yeah.
I mean, they just absolutely wanted to fight you. Let's go. I'm going to whip your tail every play right up until the whistle. And and I know there's been a change in offensive philosophy, and even the game of football's changed at the NFL level a little bit since that time. But I still like those offensive linemen that want to beat your head in for a while, and that's what those guys could do.
Or first rounder, third rounder, first rounder, like what Detroit has done, what Philadelphia has done, what Buffalo has done, and how they have upgraded and kept their quarterback upright because they've got some of the guys that they may be a little more finesse. Okay, but you know what? At the college level, nobody could beat them, and so I'm assuming that would carry over into the NFL level.
So I'm a big fan of Penny Sewell, always have been. When he was coming out, or right after the Lions drafted him, it was that first training camp. Maybe late training camp, could have been early in that season. I talked to Lomas Brown.
Yeah.
And Harper, I know you know Lomas. I personally, Lomas Brown should be in the Hall of Fame. Let's go. He deserves to be in Canton. That's number one. But I asked him, I'm like, man, you played that position. What do you see? And he goes, this kid is better today than I could ever be. He goes, this kid is the real deal, and he has been right from the start. And there's something to be said for being able to invest in that offensive line position. But again, it comes back to you got to be able to draft the right guy. You got to be, and the Lions have done that. They've hit on those picks across the offensive line, just the same way Kansas City has hit on so many of their draft picks over the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah,
it's made a huge difference.
Yeah, and they've had cap issues, of course. Every team does, but they get through it because the line keeps, whether it be Mahomes or Jared Goff. A lot of folks, when that trade took place, they're going, "Oh, good Lord. What are we doing with this? Is a reject. This is a guy that they threw in. No, not at all. No, you keep me upright. You keep Chris Goforth upright. You keep Vincent Turner upright. He's going to be able to do some things." And they invested in the right place, at least in my opinion. Penny Sewell's a guy. Lomas Brown had a small waist for a guy that was as big as he was, maybe 290, whatever, kind of a leanish body style. And then you got a guy who's just as fast, maybe even faster, just as agile, and yet weighs probably 40 pounds more and is stronger. Of course, Lomas is going to go, this guy does stuff there's no way I could have done what he does.
Right.
Just amazing how you put that together. Vincent, I've taken most of the conversation so far. I have not left you out on purpose, but let's go.
Now, Chris, I want to ask you this. The Falcons obviously need help in the D-line, both interior and the edge rusher. Let's say they don't really get the player, let's say in the first round. I'm going to throw some names out there, and I want you say yay or nay. What about Mike Green out of Marshall?
I don't hate the pick. Again, is he the guy that I'd want to see him go early? No, but you get later on in the draft, sure. I don't really have a problem with him. And look, I'm not watching a ton of Thundering Herd games on Sunday. Being a Chattanooga guy, and Marshall used to be in the Southern Conference, we used to call them the Blundering Turds back in the day. But so I haven't watched a lot of Blundering Turd football recently. But I mean,
I've seen Chris. Do you call them with affection and respect?
Of course. Yeah, they were the number one team in the country with Randy Moss, and came down here and got beat one night. One of the biggest wins in Chattanooga history. But I won't bore y'all with that. I do what I have seen from that guy. Sure, I don't have a problem with him.
David Walker, Central Arkansas.
Haven't seen enough. One of the things that I have seen, all right, just an observation, and I think we've seen it from Philadelphia. Philly has gone out. I mean, gosh, they have loaded up on Georgia guys, haven't they? You look at all the guys off that really good defense that Georgia had in 2020. It feels like 2/3 of them are Eagles now. Go draft the guys that play at a high level of major college football. No, again, I love FCS. I love the quote unquote the mid-major, the group of 5 schools. I know Harper does as well with his, the time that he spends around Georgia State. But at the same time, there's something to be said. Give me those guys that play this game in the SEC and the Big Ten. Give me those guys that are winners too. Give me the guys that play on, let's talk about Georgia. Let's talk about Texas. Let's talk about Michigan and those type guys. I feel like that's kind of what has worked, at least for Philly. And I'm not saying that has to be the blueprint that the Falcons use, but I know there's a lot of people in Atlanta that are really excited to see Leonard Floyd come to town because it feels like the Falcons have purposely avoided Georgia guys over the last 5 or 6 years. And I laugh and make fun of people when I get on X and I'm scrolling right before the draft and people say, here's my mock draft. And it's the Falcons drafting 7 Georgia guys. I'd be real happy if this is the way it turns. You can't do that. You can't go draft your favorite players. You just can't do that. You can't draft guys off of your favorite team. But I think what you can do is you can go get guys that are playing major college football, that are playing on winning programs and are regarded as being the best. Not to completely get off subject here, but I think one of the more interesting, maybe the most interesting guy in this draft is Genty, the running back, Ashton Genty, the running back at Boise State.
Mm-hmm.
Where's he going to go? I've seen mocks that have him in the top 10. Somebody going to take a running back in the top 10? And look, I'm not saying that they shouldn't or that the kid's not worth it, but we don't see that much anymore.
And I'm going to drop the mic on these final 3 players that I think maybe can help the Falcons. The corner, the next Charles Woodson out of Michigan, Will Johnson. The D tackle out of Oregon, Derek Harmon. And I got to throw a vowel in there. Amari Norman Lott.
Okay.
The mic has dropped. So back to you, Chris.
Yeah, no, look, I'm good with all 3 of those guys, for sure. So again, that's just where and look, who doesn't love the story of a guy like, Harper referenced D. Alford a minute ago. I mean, D. Alford went to Tusculum College, for crying out loud. I got a bunch of guys I went to high school with that played at Tusculum and Cumberland and those places. So I'm well aware of all of those little D2, Lenore Ryan and all those D2 and D3 programs, and they make great stories. But I just think guys like that are few and far between. If I'm going to, especially in this year where it's so important for the Falcons, if I'm going to put my eggs in a basket, I'm going to put them in a basket of a guy that has played the game at the highest level possible. Give me guys out of the SEC. Give me the guys out of the Big Ten. Heck, give me guys out of the Big 12 for that matter. That's my feelings on speaking specifically to where the Falcons are in their needs.
It's interesting that you go that route. And I'm going to Jack Sawyer, for example. Boy, could any guy be hotter than what he was there during those playoff games for Ohio State? Always around the ball. He ends up with a sack, strip, touchdown to help beat Texas. I'm thinking great. But he's ranked number 7, Chris, in terms of just the defensive end. Now, Mike Green, you mentioned him, 6'3", 250. I had him in the 240s, so if he's gained a couple pounds, good for him. But James Pierce out of Tennessee, that's 6'5", 245. I don't know if he's going to be at 260. I love him. At 245, that to me, and I'm just speaking for myself, that's another Vic Beasley type situation. Maybe not as fast, but Vic was 240, and he couldn't bull rush anybody. He relied only on his speed, and they figured him out, and things changed for him professionally. And eventually nobody wanted him because all he could do was speed rush. You got to have the second move, and you got to be big. And, Myles Garrett's a phenomenon. You take anybody that's in that Hendrickson with Cincinnati, high-end guy. He's at 270. I'm not expecting that out of college, but if you can't play at that, then you can't stay on the field.
No, there's no question. I mean, it's those guys now, and I draw comparisons to, like, say, a Hollywood Henderson in his day, a Lawrence Taylor some years later, guys that were just freak athletes. And I think the best defensive ends right now are those guys, Harper, like you're talking about, that are, 260 plus, that are 6'5 plus, and have that ridiculous speed, have those lean body types and tremendous speed. Because that's what, that was the thing about Hollywood Henderson. That was the thing about LT that kind of separated those guys from everybody else, and certainly for LT, it was a much longer career. Yeah. But what made him so good, as you well know, was just how fast of a human being that he was, coupled with that size playing that position. Yep. There's so many guys I feel like we can. Hey, I think the Falcons got one in Leonard Floyd, even at 30 years old. I still think he can. I think, look, the Falcons upgraded, in my opinion. And I was a huge fan of Matthew Judon when he came in, and that was not good. I mean, he did not look like a guy that wanted to be there. And I thought he came in on a 1-year deal last year. Man, he's going to tear this thing up. He's going to prove it. Falcons probably won't be able to afford him going into 25, but that's okay, because he's going to be he'll be a 12 sack guy. And instead, I thought he gave, half-hearted effort far too often.
And go back 2 years earlier, Lorenzo Carter, 1-year deal, and now he's still here, right? He's not the starter, though. Malone, Arnold Ebiketie, your third, fourth round guys that you bring in, and they're still kind of struggling to make their way to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, again, there has been no more talked about, no more debated position in the city of Atlanta, for that matter, maybe in the state of Georgia. I think there's more debate about what the Falcons need to do at edge rusher than anything Brian Kemp is doing in the state capitol or the state legislature, for that matter. I think there's a lot more concern and a lot more questions about what's going to happen at that edge rusher position. That's where the Falcons, you got to fix this. I think you fixed quarterback. We'll know for sure about midseason, but I think you've got to take care of that edge rusher position. And I think Leonard Floyd is a step in the right direction. But again, as we saw last year, I thought Matthew Judon was a step in the right direction too, and that didn't work. So you got to go. You continue to stockpile guys. I don't think just because you signed Leonard Floyd that you suddenly go, okay, we can pivot over to here in the draft. I still think you have to address the pass rush issues.
Yep. The Judon and then Justin Simmons, they signed within hours of one another.
Yeah.
I remember at training camp, I'm going, this is pretty stinking good right now. This is so much better than where we were just at the end of the previous season. Arthur Smith gets fired, that horrible loss in New Orleans where instead of taking a knee from the 1 yard line, they punch it in. The embarrassment of having to go through that, and then the refixing of the model and putting new parts and replacing guys. Yes, you get the quarterback, then you draft the quarterback, but you went defensive line, especially heavy there. Ororo, who am I thinking about? The other
Brandon Dorlus
out of Oregon, yes, and Trice too as well. Trice, and then the kid from Oregon. Please forgive me. Now I can't remember off the top of my head. Dorlus, Brandon Dorlus. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And defense. You address that after you get the quarterback. Okay. All right. But now those guys are going to need to step up. All those draft picks from last year, especially Trice. We still don't know what we got out of him. And is he going to be a guy that can be a third down, get the quarterback along with Floyd on the other side. That's going to be an interesting phenomenon there for the Falcons.
I hope that's the case. All the indications about him a year ago were how good that kid was going to be. And then, it all kind of got cut short because of the injury. So, I hope he comes back and is able to really show that he is worthy of the belief that the Falcons had in him. Because again, I know just from talking to people, there were a lot of folks that were really excited about what they thought he could be.
Yeah.
In a Falcons uniform for sure.
But another guy that's 6'3", 245 coming out of college. Now, is he a little bit heavier now? I hope so. And coming off the knee, is he still as fast, or does he have that ability to, get that second move? Am I going to go around a guy, or am I bull rush through him? All that, yes, we'll find out. Is there anything other than that? I know that the long snapper resigned, so thank goodness we've got a snapping issue. Younghoe Koo was a problem for us last year.
Hey, let me ask you, how mad are you that they did you ever get a 4-year contract in your career?
I'm sorry, you're talking foreign language to me. Did you say?
See, you got to be going, come on, where was the 4-year deal when I played?
The 2-year deal. That's about all of us free agent. Now you could get one coming out of college, but no one was drafted back then
right.
to snap, and they're still not. So Steve Diassi, even Bruce Matthews was the guy that just could snap if you needed him to, and it was just that plug and play thing. We're going to figure this thing out as we go along. But yeah, nice deal for him, and congratulations. I do have to say I've got my little Sammy Baugh. Remember Slinging Sammy Baugh?
Slinging Sammy Baugh.
Man, that dude, Steve Sable from NFL Films, sits down next to him outside of his Texas home. It was hot. You could tell it was hot. There's this big oak tree in the background. And Sammy was about 140 when he was interviewed. And he goes, "These doggone ball players make more money in one game than I made in my whole career." Well, I know how he feels because it's crazy.
If for anybody that hasn't seen it, in 95 or 90, was it 94? When the NFL, you were in the league, Harper, when the NFL celebrated the 75th anniversary. You remember that?
95 or 6, yeah.
Yeah, they did a 75th. NFL Films did like a 75th anniversary celebration of the NFL. The interview with Sammy Baugh is absolute gold. If you have never watched that, it is worth going to watch just for the interviews with Sammy Baugh, because he is hysterical. Him and Art Donovan are absolutely the two best interviews, and they are hysterical to hear those guys talk.
No, I may not be talking about the same interview that I have, but beep, 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 beep.
Oh, yeah.
Sammy
Sammy was colorful.
Art would at least be able to tell you a story and get you to laugh a little bit, but Sam he has a one-track mind, and it's a lot of 4 letters.
Yes, there were.
Absolutely. I would imagine that going into training camp, there's I actually have a jersey.
You have the pin? Oh, you have the jersey.
The jersey has that logo was embroidered. Everybody got to wear it. I still remember when I was a kid, the year that the NFL had the 50th, and there was the shield, but it had a 50 instead of where the stars were. And you see Butkus or Nitschke or Joe Cap or any of and they were all wearing that thing. I go, man, I would love to have a jersey with that 50 cap on it, the patch. But I do have a couple from the 75 and a hat too. So that's my claim to fame.
I have the lapel pin.
How's my 88 Chicago Bears jersey? Is that
still wait, it's still for sale. Hold on. One of these days,
nobody wants it, do they, Chris?
One of these days, I'm going to purchase this thing. Hold on, I gotta look at this.
No, don't bother. Don't even waste your time.
No, it's still there because I did. Funny, I actually looked at it the other day. I say the other day, it was a couple of weeks ago, because I think I have it saved. Like, I think I have watched it. Oh, wait, here you go, Vince. Here's one. We'll go in together. What do you think? What do you think this one's worth?
What is that? Oh, that's a card.
Oh, that's worth some money.
That's
Yeah.
worth at least a
Yeah, that's
nickel.
worth some money,
I'd
yeah.
pay you a nickel for it. I'll give you a wooden nickel and
Hey.
maybe a toothpick.
Hey, look, you need to hush, Harper. Can y'all see the price on there?
16?
15 bucks?
Come on,
15 bucks?
man.
And wait a minute. Look at this. Look at this suave, handsome devil on the back of it.
Oh yeah, that
Yes,
thing
sir.
right there.
That drove the ladies in Buckhead wild back then.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
see.
Yes,
Get
sir.
that and $3, and I'll get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. That's what we'll do with that thing. You know, that was actually made, Chris, while I was with Green Bay. The Falcons had let me go, and the Packers had signed me. And there's a kid, you know how the kids have the bikes that they take to and from practice. So my kid is Aaron was his name. What a cute little, probably 12-year-old kid. Just wonderful. Every day I was his guy. He drafted me. I was his property for training camp. And he goes, "Hey, would you sign the card?" And I go, "I don't have a card." He goes, "No, you do." And I go, "No, I don't. I know I don't have a card." But because I was with the Packers and they had gone to the Super Bowl, someone said, "Hey, the Packers have made some moves here. Let's have another couple of cards that we'll make." That's the only one I ever had. And I wouldn't have had it if it hadn't been for me leaving Atlanta. So that's a whole $15 that I can put into my savings account there to help justify the move.
You and Brett Favre both found new life by leaving the Falcons. All right,
Brett
here we go.
$1 more than Steve Young. What's that? Oh, there's the jersey.
That's it. That's going to be mine one day, one day, Vince. I'm going to splurge for this bad boy. You can see it's what is that, $86? The price has actually come down. A couple of years ago, they wanted like $90 for it. And I wasn't. There are, by the way, Harper, I am one of them. There are 6 people other than me who are watching this jersey.
Okay, so my mom and my dog and probably 3. I don't know who else. I don't know, but we'll have to figure that out one day. Chris, we want to be respectful of your time. Go ahead and
no, I just had to tell Vince that is a running gag with Harper and I for about 7 years now. Is his practice jersey. I used to do that on 92.9 because at one time we had so many guys there that had played in the NFL. I would do this thing every week where I would look up how much is Hugh Douglas's stuff selling for, how much Randy McMichael's stuff selling for, what's Harper LeBel stuff selling for. So it just became this running gag with Harper and I on the weekends was I had to check to see if Harper's practice jersey was still available for sale, and it's been on there for a while. Eventually I'm going to find a special place for it. I only have one. I got one frame jersey. You see that right there?
Yes, I do.
That's Dale Murphy.
Yeah.
So the next frame jersey will be Harper LeBel's.
Well, not a practice jersey. Now, did Dale sign that?
Yes.
That's why it's in the case.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's the only jersey. Well, okay, so I have a Carlton Fisk jersey as well, one of the old school White Sox. Yeah.
Oh, White Sox.
One of the old school Carlton Fisk White Sox jerseys. I never wear it, but I bought it because I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But I've never worn it. But it's in the closet, and I have the Murphy jersey. Those are the only two jerseys I have. I got a lot of memorabilia, but jerseys has never really been my thing.
Do you have a great Rockers pick or a picture autographed by any of your rock and roll buddies?
Well, I got BB King.
Nice.
I got Paul Stanley from Kiss.
Oh, good Lord! Don't tell Dave Cohen, please. I
could probably will that to Cohen one day. I got Joan Jett.
Really?
Joan Jett. Yeah, I mean, I got a couple of things. I've got a couple of things like that. One of my favorite guitar players is a guy named Eric Johnson, and I've probably got about 3 or 4 things autographed by him.
There you go.
Over the years, but yeah, I got a couple things.
and plenty. Well, not there's not a whole lot of room in the back though. Behind you, you got the wall up behind your left ear, up in that corner. We might be able to squeeze another picture of Vincent Turner in there, maybe a postcard, a memes. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of room.
There's not. I'll make room for Vince too, though. I need the shirtless centerfold of Vince, though. It's going to be the shirtless centerfold autographed of Vince that's gonna go up for sure.
With the girls with their hands up and reaching towards.
Of course, yeah, of course, probably waving dollar bills.
All right. So before we go, who do you think the Falcons in the first round? Don't give me the player, but just give me when push comes to shove, and are they going to go edge? Are they going to go cornerback? What do you think?
I was hell bent since the end of the season that it would be an edge rusher. Maybe with the signing of Floyd, maybe the Falcons maybe they start looking more at a corner to fill that secondary position. If that's the case, guys, I'm not so sure you can't trade down a couple of spots, get an extra pick, and still be able to get your guy. If they stay where they are, they take an edge rusher. If they trade back, I think they go with a safety. Or a cornerback, yeah, of course. Vincent, final thought.
Hey, great show today. Pleasure to have Mr. Chris Goforth on. Looking for his coverage when the Falcons go on with their 15th selection in the 2025 NFL Draft. Thank you, Chris, the man from the state of Tennessee.
Always good to visit, fellas.
Thank you so much, Chris. And by the way, will you have a draft show that you're going to be a part of?
No, I have got some other commitments that's happening around that and that weekend. Some play-by-play stuff that I'm going to be tied up with that's going to prevent me from being able to do anything. So, hopefully by this summer, maybe by sometime in May, I'll be back in my regular flow of weekend stuff on 92.9. But it's been nice here since working a little bit in January and working Super Bowl Sunday to have a couple of weeks to, kind of reintroduce myself to my wife. She jokes every year about mid-July. She's like, I'll see you at Thanksgiving. And so it's been good to it's been good to be dad for a little while. My daughter, my youngest is playing lacrosse. So we have they're not doing well. Young team. She's playing hard, but they've struggled a little bit. So, but I've been able to go watch her play a lot, and so that's been good.
Yes, sir, Mr. Harper LeBel. I guess we lost Harper.
Harper's asleep. Harper just flat fell asleep, I think.
Well, hey, Chris, man, we don't want to hold your time. Hey, man,
appreciate you guys as always.
Yeah. Many blessings, and man, hope to have you back, man. Talk some football, maybe some college football in the preseason, and of course, what the Falcons do in this 2025 NFL Draft. Be blessed, and many blessings to your family.
Let's do it. Call me anytime. See you, bud.
All right. Thank you.